guys? Chris at MLP. I'm here with Caden Thompson. I've known him and worked with him since he was about 13, kind of on and off throughout the years. He's going to Santa Clara. Glad to have you come on.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
let's do it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Yeah, I go to Wood Creek High School, or I went to Wood Creek High School. I just graduated in 2022. Committed to Santa Clara like right around the end or the beginning of my sophomore year. So October of my sophomore year, I committed to Santa Clara. So I'm just getting ready to head on to campus there. I just went down last week. Spent a few days down there.
I was gonna say, you were telling me about that. You guys got workouts in, right?
Yep.
Did you actually get on the field at all?
Yeah, we spent some time on the field. It's super fun. Like a couple hours on the field every day, a couple hours in the gym every day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So no obligation of school, so it's like you could really focus on just baseball.
Yeah.
So how was that? How are the guys there?
Oh man, they were great. It was super fun for them to invite me down there and for them to give me a place to stay because the dorms aren't open yet.
So you just stayed with a buddy?
Yep.
Or stayed with a guy on the team?
Yep. So they kind of reached out to a lot of us and were like, hey guys, like let's kind of get you all together. Like we want to bring the group together, as soon as possible, get the camaraderie thing going right away. And yeah, so they got it off right out the jump, even before school starts. And it was great to be down there. I had a great time with the guy I stayed with. His apartment was super cool, and training and everything was great. So.
Was it the whole team, or was it just like some of the guys?
Yeah, it was just about 15, give or take a few.
Probably guys that generally live in the area.
Right. So it was all the guys, or a lot of the guys that live off campus that stayed because they didn't play summer ball. Like a lot of the pitching staff, I think it was like 10 or 11 pitchers that were there.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So it was mostly pitchers that were staying there because they didn't play summer ball. The coach doesn't like to send guys that threw a lot of innings in the season out to summer ball.
It's like their prehab, get strong, let the arm relax a little bit. Did they throw it all, or are they like running some sort of throwing program over the off season? Or?
Most of the guys were just starting to play catch again.
Okay.
Some of the guys were throwing pins, light pins. Nobody's really out there chucking it besides some of the high school guys. They were like long tossing and they're throwing some pins because they haven't played in summer either.
Gotcha.
They're kind of building up for our fall, like starting in like 3 weeks here.
Basically, you got to think for a freshman coming in. Obviously, you're a little bit different coming in with an injury, but a lot of these freshmen coming in are really having to be at the top of their game going into fall, right? Because they want a spot on the team, they want to earn their stripes, they want to impress a little bit, show that you guys deserve to be there. But yeah, for the older guys, it's like, okay, I threw 40 plus innings last year, coming in as middle relief, so I've got a spot so I can give some time, rest, relax, and then make sure that arm's nice and healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, because they're gonna, once we get going in the fall, I mean, it's pretty much start in the fall and you're throwing throughout the whole year until the spring. So that's why they kind of take their break off throwing in the summer.
So for you coming in, you obviously you kind of missed part or all of your senior season.
Just about. Played 5 games.
You played 5 games, and what was the deal with that? What happened?
Yeah, so I had kind of an ongoing hip injury for.
Okay. All right. Technical difficulties. Caden was telling us about his hip injury, ongoing hip injury.
Yeah, it was like a couple year long thing, and it kind of just got progressively worse over time. Started in that COVID summer, and finally I ended up getting surgery on it. I got surgery on it December of 2021. So then I rehabbed for about 4 to 5 months. Came back to the high school team right around we had 5 games left in the season, so right towards the end, and I probably I was just getting back into it, so I really wasn't running, no defense. I was just swinging it a little bit, just to play a little bit in my high school season, and then that was really it.
You kind of kind of lost 2 seasons there if you think about it. You lost sophomore season, which is obviously a big season for you, just committing to Santa Clara. And then obviously your junior year, what happened your junior year?
Junior year played really well. Moral of the story, I was the league MVP, you know, had a good season, performed really well, and that kind of was a good showing for not having played my sophomore season.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of one of those things where it's like you see a guy lose out on the season right after committing, like you're kind of expecting that sophomore year to be, all right, he's got to show what, you know, why he committed, and he lost it. No fault to your own. But then obviously junior year coming back, bigger, faster, stronger, very athletic individual, and you league MVP is pretty good.
Yeah, CBC is not as competitive as the SFL, but no, it was still a great, you know, great accomplishment and a great thing to do that year.
Did you feel that that hip injury during that junior year season?
Yeah. So funny story. It was I felt it got really bad right around like probably the second month of the season, so right in the middle of it.
I was gonna say you're playing a lot, you're in the rhythm, yeah.
And so I had 11 stolen bases in our first 10 games, and if you look on Max Reps, I don't have a single one after that. I finished the season with 11.
10 games and then no more stolen bags from Caden Thompson.
That was it.
Ugh.
So yeah, no, that was like when I tell people that I was feeling it that year, that's how I show them. I had 11 stolen bags early, and then that was it. No more.
Did you even try to attempt?
No, I just stopped.
You just stopped.
I even told my coach, I was like, bro, like
I can't run.
Like I'm not stealing any bags. It's just not gonna happen.
I mean, with 11 stolen bags, you think you could have like delayed steal, hobbled down to second at this point? You know what I mean?
I could have tried something. You know? I think our team leader had like the guy that I think Jake Harvey had like probably like 15 or something. So
dang. So you would have definitely had that.
So I could have gone. I mean, I could have gone for it. But you know, I think we steamrolled all the teams we played too. So like he probably could have had like 30 if he really wanted to.
Yeah, you stop stealing bags when you're 10 ahead. You know what I mean? So what happened that your junior year? What'd you guys do in regards to like playoffs? Did you guys?
They didn't have playoffs. They didn't have playoffs. No.
How come I didn't know this?
We went 22-4 in the season and got no playoff. So
why no playoffs? What was the point of that? Was that the
COVID thing? Yeah, it was a COVID thing.
Dang, man. Like, what? You guys play a sport where like one of you stands next to each other for maybe 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, whatever. So silly.
But. That's a bummer though, because that's definitely where. So sophomore year, no playoffs. Junior year, no playoffs, and then the senior year, you were just getting back, and you guys lost first round.
Yeah, we don't even got to talk about that. Everybody knows about Wood Creek losing.
Ooh,
everybody knows about Wood Creek losing round 1 to Laguna Creek.
That was a sting. Who won this year?
The D2 playoff. I think it was Granite Bay who won.
Granite Bay did. Okay,
and then Whitney won the D1, and then I think Whitney won the whole regional playoff or whatever too.
Wow.
I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm not totally sure, but they won. I know they won the section.
I was gonna say I feel like they did pretty well.
Yeah.
Do you know any guys on there?
On Whitney's team?
Yeah.
Jace Gilmore. I want to say he just committed somewhere, and it might have been Santa Clara, but I'm not sure.
It's about to be your team.
Dude, I think it might have been, but I'm not totally sure. And I don't want to. Don't quote me on that either.
we're gonna post this online, and we're gonna tag him.
I'm gonna check.
You going to Santa Clara, right? You going to Santa Clara?
Let's see. Because I think he might have, but. He did. That's what I thought.
Oh, nice.
I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he did. So yeah. Anyways,
we're gonna have to tag him on this and be like, hey, we're talking about you.
Yeah. I know Jackson Mena is on there too. I think that might be how you say his name. I hope I didn't mispronounce it, but
Jimenez,
something like that. And he's a good little switch hitting middle infielder. So I know him too.
Okay. How often do you see that nowadays? I was gonna say.
Hardly.
Yeah.
The only other guy I know that really does it well is JR.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say. I think. When I coached at Yuba College, we talked to a lot of guys that they had tried switch hitting at a younger age, and like they kind of got good and carried it through like freshman, sophomore year of high school. But man, that was not even on the table when I was going up, I was having a hard time hitting one-sided. You know what I mean? Like
it's hard enough one-sided.
Yeah. Do you ever try that at all? Just mess around?
Mess around with it for sure. I mean, even today, like in batting practice today with my dad, I was hit left-handed, but like nothing ever like serious came out of it.
But like how good? Like I physically look like I would hurt myself. You know what I mean? Like
no.
do you like hit?
I got a stroke. Yeah, I definitely have a lefty stroke, and I hit left-handed in a few games when I was like 13.
Really? That's pretty rad. How'd you do?
I think I had a hit. I had a hit, and then I hit a couple balls pretty hard. One hit, one hard ground out. Forget what I did in like the third at bat, but yeah, no.
And just decided to go away from it. Just
I honestly was only doing it because like it was like this like total like joke tournament. Like it was just like,
you just randomly did it in a tournament.
Yeah, we just like put together kind of like a joke team that was like it was a really good team, but it was a team that like. It's like, remember when I played in the league when I was in 8th grade?
Yep.
It was a group of those guys, and we were just kind of goofing around in a tournament, for just whatever. For whatever reason, just kind of, just to play some baseball, and it was like winter. It was like a super
it's one of those
event.
Random winter.
Yes, and so
guys try to get tournaments going all the time, or some sort of like showcase in the winter. And I'm like, man,
that was the thing. It's like we hadn't seen each other in a long time, and it was a group of guys that like we all really like meshed really well, and so we wanted to hang out, and like the best way to do it is go play some baseball, and so we ended up winning that tournament, but like we were just kind of goofing off.
That's kind of cool. So that's like if you were to walk down the street and have a bunch of guys just kind of randomly show up and play a baseball game, a little Sandlot status. I think that's cool. That's the first time I've heard that. You guys have been active at like, hey, let's make do you guys call it like have to have a name to enter?
So we were called the Commodux, and it was just a combination of the two league teams that we played on. So a lot of us played on the Commodores, and then some of us played on the Ducks, and so we just made the Commodux. It was very, very silly little thing.
Do you still talk to those guys?
Yeah, all of them.
You should just make jerseys. The Commodux.
Do a Commodux
reunion.
Yeah, it was funny. We wore like half of us wore the Commodore jerseys, half of us wore the Duck jerseys.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was totally sick.
That's a pretty good little like an all-star baseball. You know what I mean? Like a celebrity baseball thing. That's pretty rad.
It's cool.
Yeah, you guys have a lot. It seems like you guys have a lot of fun. It seemed like when I was growing up, it was a lot of fun later. Like when we were starting to get into like college. You know what I mean? Like we do a little bit more camaraderie stuff. Like the teams, it was you show up to practice and then you go home with your family and you didn't really hang out too much outside. Maybe that was just me, but in high school it was a little bit better, and then college it was like we were a family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so hopefully you get to experience that. What else are we going to talk about?
Well, we could talk about our kind of training regiments we wanted to go over.
So you texted me when you were working out with the Santa Clara team, and you mentioned something to me that these guys are strong. Mm-hmm. Is that obviously you can keep up with them, but in the same sense, it was one of those things that did that surprise you a little bit about?
Yeah, so I was a little bit surprised for sure. I mean, like the training that I've done for 5-6 years, whatever, has definitely gotten me to a point where I can hang with those guys. But I wasn't expecting to be more advanced, but I was expecting to be towards the top. So I guess me jumping into those workouts with 15 of the guys, I was right in the middle of the pack, just based on kind of the way we were moving, the way the weight I was moving,
how you were moving.
Everything was I was middle of the pack, right? And a good place to be as a freshman. I was super I felt very good about being there, but being in that middle of the pack. But also kind of eye-opened that, hey, these are the guys that are the best on in the group are doing significantly more weight, doing better, making better reps, just moving better. So kind of gave me something to light that fire a little bit,
Yeah, we got something to chase. You know what I mean? If you're ahead of the pack, it's easy to kind of just chip away at just being ahead. Mm-hmm. But when you're chasing someone, especially some really strong guys, you know that I need to put in this much work. I need to do this outside of the gym. I need to do better sleep, better hydration, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, when I remember that jump going from Granite Bay High School to Sierra. Like usually I'd been like pretty good on the team, physically pretty good, but going from Granite Bay to Sierra, I remember Ryan Allen, who called him Swole, so you can only imagine how big he was. He was a catcher, I was a catcher, I was there, and I was just standing next to him, and I look over, and I'm just about eye height with his shoulder, and his shoulder, like, so you take this, and you add maybe 20 pounds of muscle.
3D shoulders.
He was probably 6'3", 6'4", maybe, 265 pounds. I was like, you're a middle linebacker, my friend. You're an outside.
Yeah.
You're a specimen. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, this is a different type of physical that I'm gonna need to catch up on. And even like, he was okay receiving. Like his footwork for a big guy was good. And the second that ball came out of his hand, it was just like the backspin, and you can hear it, and it was. Whoo! I was like, dang, this isn't great. Like I gotta keep up with this guy. And then when he hit. He had some disconnection issues between his legs and upper body, but when he got those hands going and he connected with the ball, I mean, he'd put it out of Sierra College, easy, no problem, with top spin. You know what I mean? Like
hooking those things.
Yeah, right. Just hooking them over left field, and I was like, okay, this is definitely another step that physically I need to get to. Yeah. I can hit, I can throw, I can run, but then the same thing happened at UNR. Oh, it's like every dude was squatting, like you were kind of saying, like squatting efficiently, squatting a lot, and in good shape when it came to like the sprint work and the forearm work and the shoulder rehab and all that kind of stuff. It's all under their belt. They had years of experience on me, and just exposure to other guys that are good, right?
Yep.
And so, did that make you feel? So it lit a fire. Would you change anything in your past to when it comes to training, or when it came to outside of the field or the gym choices, like anything? Like what would you change? What would you, I guess, pass down to the next generation of Wood Creek shortstop?
Yeah, you know, I spent a long time thinking about that. I think for the most part, you know, I've had a pretty good plan all the way through. I don't know if I'd change too much. You know, I think that I wish I would have spent more time on my defensive work as a shortstop, because one thing that I recognized when we're all taking ground balls out there on the field is guys are fine-tuned. Like the actions, the movement,
the footwork,
playing catch, it's all fine-tuned, right? So it's a little bit different when you get to high school. Like when you get to high school, good shortstops make the majority of the plays, right? Yep. They look pretty good. Like everything looks pretty solid. But when you watch the guys that last year, like one of the guy I was staying with, didn't play a lot. Was like kind of like the backup second baseman, right? Dude made every play looked smooth, right? His feet work well, the hands work well, and playing catch, the ball's at your chest every single time, right? When he's taking ground balls and he's throwing the ball across into the net, the ball hits the middle of the net every single time. And so that's the thing, is like when I stepped into that, when I had that experience, I said, okay, like there's work to be done. Okay. So maybe in that sense, spending more time, and maybe more of like a mental thing than anything, of trying to fine tune it. You know, like the Kobe Bryant, like I have to be perfect.
Like,
you know,
like the skill work is done with a purpose, not just to do the skill work, right? And I think I see that in here when it comes to a lot of athletes too. It's like watching you work. The second you walk in the gym, I can see you mentally getting ready. Like today you were eating, right? And you were just kind of sitting there and we were chit-chatting about this and other things. And once you kind of were done like eating, it was like, okay, turn it on. I got my mobility work. I have to make sure I'm warmed. I have to make sure that these positions are hit. I have this to do with my hip. And you were doing everything with a purpose, right? Sometimes I see guys that walk in here, it's like, oh, he wants us to do the warm-up? All right, we'll do that. Right? And the effort there on the first one, I get. it's a warm up. But the second one is like, all right, time to fine tune it. And that third one needs to be for performance. And I think that's where what you're saying is a lot of those college guys are hanging out in that skill work performance constantly.
Yeah.
So you change up your defense a little bit in regards to accuracy of movements.
Yeah, just like the being precise. Like those guys are precise. Their movements are precise. They're done with a purpose, like you're saying. So exposed. It's good that I was exposed to it now and exposed to it a little early. Like understanding that, hey, that's what I have to be. You know what I mean? And so if I would have been exposed to that before, it would have been nice. I think I probably would have probably
3 or 4 months.
More
exposure. Yeah. So that's what you would probably pass down, right? So like, I remember in Crawford, shortstop for the Giants. Is he still there? I haven't watched the game in a long time. I remember when he was first coming up, and he was. They were showing highlights of him taking ground balls, and he was doing trick ground balls and behind the back and fielding under the legs.
I've seen that video on Twitter. Like,
it is
doing all that crazy shit.
So cool.
Yep.
I talked to a couple people, obviously, in the baseball realm. They were like, oh, that's just showboating, and that's just blah, blah, you shouldn't do that, and all that kind of stuff. You should really focus on the fundamentals. And I'm sitting there now in my head, that guy did that. He spent years on the fundamentals to be so accurate that now
that he can do that.
He can do this, and it's also improving weird plays. You ever see it, ESPN Top 10, where every play is this crazy glove work and behind the back, and he tosses it, not looking like this to the second base to roll it up a play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are put in compromising positions constantly, that's normal now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the base layer, the low-hanging fruit, like we talk about, have to be plucked first, and then you can pluck these up here, and that's the crazy plays.
He spent years and years developing the routine.
Yeah.
Right. So then, once he's mastered those things, and so he's given himself the right to add those crazy plays into his bag. You know.
Yeah. Your body requires stress to become better at whatever it is, and I think that's those elements that a lot of people forget. It's like, if you're so good at one thing and all you do is that one thing, at some point you're not going to get really a stress benefit. You're not going to get stressed for your body to recover better. And I think at some point he probably required that to become better in everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like crazy random stressors of like catching a ball behind your head. I don't know if any of you guys ever tried to do that. Like play catch with a guy, tell him to throw it right here and try to catch it behind your head.
That'd be kind of hard.
It's really hard.
You're not seeing.
You can't see it in your glove. You can't follow it. Like your body tracks.
It's probably even more difficult than like the one where you like kind of turn and catch the ball behind yourself.
Because
but
you
you
still
see it.
kind of see it.
You're kind of seeing it. Yeah. I didn't think that's kind of hard. That would be hard.
I think I learned that from who did I used to watch do that? Richie Kim. Yeah. So
we were talking about him the other day.
Yeah, Richie Kim, probably the most fun to watch on a field as a coach. You know what I mean? Like you watch players on the field and you're like, that guy's fun. That guy's cool. I like the way he plays. Him as a coach, and I never watched him play, so I only know him as a coach. I coached a little bit under him at Granite Bay, and then I watched him coach other people. And he's an entertaining coach because the things he does just as a coach, like hitting in and out off live pitching.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know he did that. He coached me, but I didn't know he ever did that.
Yeah, and then watching him field ground balls with zero velocity, negative miles per hour over to first, and would beat everybody.
He's masterful with the glove.
Yeah,
absolute like when
he doesn't close it.
He's like a samurai master in baseball, like literally.
Just because he's Asian. Are we gonna have to edit this out?
But
I'm
no.
tag.
I mean seriously though, like he used to do infield work with us sometimes, or like come demonstrate stuff.
Yeah.
Like what he's kind of thinking we should do, or like what he sees that we need to change. He used to just make. I mean, he used to make us look like we were. I was 15 at the time. I mean, he used to make me look stupid. I'm going into high school and you're making me look bad.
Yeah,
you know
right?
what I mean. And I don't know how old he is, but not.
He's not old. I mean, I want to say maybe 40s or 50s. I mean, I'm 30,
Okay.
I'm 35 now. So
Yeah,
he
gotta
was
be-
probably.
he's gotta be. Well,
his,
he coached you, right?
He was in his 20s, I think. So yeah,
he's gotta be
he's pushing maybe 55,
maybe older than that.
maybe close to 60.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, you never guess. He moves so well. If you picture your average 60-year-old man, and then picture Caden, but his name's Richie, and that's what you get. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, he's athletic, he's in shape, he bounces around, he's got unlimited energy.
Like a nimble spider monkey.
He's a great guy to if you have a chance. He's local in the Roseville area.
I think he coaches at Oakmont now.
He coaches at Oakmont now?
I think so.
I'm gonna have to go talk to him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
Or I know he did. I don't know if he does, but he did when I was like a freshman.
I was gonna say how long. Yeah, so I think I helped coach his. He took over a hitting facility. Do you remember what that was called?
Forget what the Dugout.
The Dugout. Yep. He took that over as a manager. He was running it for a little bit, and I was running his speed and agility, so I got to see him quite often. It was a great experience. I wish we could get back to that, but yeah, I'll go hit him up. But it's one of those things where I think when you develop such a base layer of skill that's so high that it's never really going to go away, right? So that's when, like for you, you had a lot of time off recently, right?
Yep.
How long do you think it's going to take, or has it already come back to that glove work to feel normal again?
I mean, I don't even think it's come back all the way yet. I mean, I played a little bit of summer ball, just like a few weeks ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, and it was not super pretty in the field. You know, there were a few plays that were very routine, that were consistently plays that I would make look very simple, like my junior year of high school, sophomore year of high school, that I just didn't make. Not only did I not make them, but I made them look kind of bad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's just gonna. I mean, it's gonna take time and reps to build back that base that I feel like I kind of fell.
And I think part of that has to do with a lot of instincts, right? The instincts on the field, time on the field. Obviously sophomore year through a wrench, but you guys played summer ball going into your junior year, right? Mm-hmm. And you traveled, right? Yep. And you were kind of getting high level competitiveness.
Yep.
And so that's kind of our baseline right now. That's as good as Caden Thompson has been playing a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so right now we're seeing Caden Thompson not playing a lot. But I feel like your instincts, there's nothing you can really do to hone them. You just gotta play,
yeah.
Right? And the instincts start to come. So in regards to that, your skill work, what are some of the drills that you like to do in regards to skill work for the glove, or rolling double plays, or backhand, forehand? What's your favorite drills that give you the most bang for your buck?
Okay. Yeah, I think we always have what we call our EDD program. We did that over at Wood Creek. It was called our EDD, our everyday drills. So all it would be is first we go bare hand, you're on your knees, you're bare hand, and you're just out there grabbing short hops with your right in front of you. Then you get them on the forehand, and then you get them on the backhand.
This is no glove?
No glove. And then we got these valet training gloves that were super nice. They're these small training gloves.
Oh, the flat ones?
Some flat ones and some mini gloves.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So we use those, same thing, on the knee, forehands right in front of you, backhands. And then we did the same thing, the same sequence on our feet, with no hand, the training glove, and some with the glove. And so those simple ones, just getting those short hops.
I like those.
Super easy.
You can get them done. It doesn't require a whole field setup or any of that kind of stuff, or someone hitting your fungos.
Right off the side.
I was going to say, my idea for that is you got a wall, you got a tennis ball, you can kind of do them to yourself too.
Lacrosse ball is the best for it.
Okay.
If you're inside here, a lacrosse ball would probably be best. Because the tennis ball is a little bit soft, so it'll pop right out.
Gotcha,
The lacrosse ball will stick. You can get that pop in the glove.
What's the so the EDDs? How hard would you throw the ball to a guy? You're about 5 feet away?
We're probably from me to the camera, and we're just flipping them.
Okay.
Just underhand flipping them.
9, 1, 6, 7, 5, 9.
Getting a phone call.
4, 2, 4, 5.
Who's FaceTime audioing me? I don't even know, like it was no number.
Oh, it wasn't even contacts?
No.
That's kind of weird because like you'd assume they would just call you at that point and
Oh.
FaceTime audio you, unless it's someone's like email or something. I don't know.
I think it might be a scam. So that FaceTime audio, they'll call in like FaceTime audio 20 numbers, 18 numbers. And then when someone calls them back, they hit it. And I don't know why it's a scam or why it's a thing, but
They'll like hit the FaceTime video. That's weird. That's weird.
yeah, I have no idea who that person was. Anyways, where are we at?
We were talking
Drills.
about lacrosse ball, that drill with the lacrosse ball on the wall. That's the last thing covered, I think.
Did you guys ever push yourself in regards to like how hard you're throwing it, or is it kind of one of those
Not
where it's
really.
like risk reward, like you don't want a ball popping up hitting you in the eye?
Yeah, not even that much. It's just like when you start to throw them hard, it's like you can't focus on getting through the ball with the right placement, getting the ball in the right spot in the glove, because like that's a big thing that is talked about now. Is like getting the ball in the right part of the glove, not getting in the web, but like getting it right off, like right underneath the web, kind of like in that like sticky spot.
Right. Like
Kind of like
right on that meat right there. Yeah.
like right in there. And then you get like a nice pop when it gets there.
Nice
It's
and
like
crisp.
Pop. And the thing is, it sticks. Ball sticks still when it's in there.
Versus
it
the
doesn't
webbing.
roll or it doesn't go back or anything. So like when you get in the web, it can kind of like roll around the web. And when it's stuck in there.
And when you transfer, there's a bigger spot for that ball to come out into the web versus here. It's like it's
right.
very accurate.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, so like what you're talking about with the flat, or what I mentioned with the flat glove, I remember doing drills where like the goal, and Richie Kim's great at this, is not closing the glove and just having basically directing that ball into your hand, and you would just tap it, and I'm like,
just tapping it.
how can I do that as a catcher? And just as the ball is coming in, tap it and into the hand. If I got the perfect ball, which is like a little bit elevated, it would happen. Otherwise, it's like
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Right?
For a catcher, that's tough because you got to redirect. Because when you're playing infield, right, you're not redirecting. You're like a vacuum.
Funneling.
You're like a vacuum, you know, like you're taking it with you.
Yeah.
But when you're catching to throw it back, you're redirecting.
You have to
receive the force of 90 miles an hour, like the average fastball nowadays, right?
Not when I played.
To receive the 90 miles an hour, and then you have to then return it the other way at the same. You know what I mean? So.
And that's
that would be hard to do.
Just
like flag glove, like that would hurt your hand.
I'm sure. I want to try though. I think I still got it. We gotta go out and play catch.
Kind of nuts.
I got about 10 throws and my arm's gonna fall off. Fumble. All right, so we got off on a tangent there. That was good. So, what were some more EDDs that you enjoyed?
After that was our like EDD sequence, and after that, we'd usually just go on to like either someone would be in like the middle, because I'm going to speak from a middle infielder's perspective. This is what I did in the middle infield. For a third baseman or first baseman, it'd be totally different. But in the middle, we'd usually have like our shortstop go to short, a second baseman go to second, and then we would have someone in the middle, like a coach or a first baseman or whoever, a PO, would roll us ground balls real easy, and then we're just working on accurate flips, accurate feeds, and then good feet around the bag. And then that's a lot of like that's pretty much your double play work. You don't really need too much, like we didn't really do much other double play drill work. And then besides that, like the only other thing I could think of is like we would do a drop step drill. A lot of drop step work, because you need to learn to like receive the ball kind of behind your face get you kind of be able to get your face behind the ball. And so if I could stand up, I'd demonstrate it. It's kind of hard to explain, but essentially, the real drop step is like a quick pivot and getting your face kind of behind the glove and allowing your legs to kind of drop you to like the height of the ball.
Gotcha. So it's almost like you're stuck here.
Yeah. So you can keep the glove most of the time with your hand like towards facing the sky. You know, like you're high fiving or whatever. You can keep your hand in that direction. You don't have to turn the glove on the drop step unless it's real low.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless it's too low.
But it's kind of a different play at that point. If you're drop stepping on a ball that low, it's almost not even like a drop step. It's like a redirect step because you want to be able to play the short hop still.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's the biggest thing, like on the infield though, is like we take all those short hop reps. So when we're playing in the field in a game, taking ground balls, whatever it is, we can get our feet in a position to get the short hop. So it's the same. Like so, then our EDDs transfer straight over.
Gotcha. And that's kind of like developing that groove when it comes to like swinging off a tee, right?
Yep.
Like the ball is stationary, and a lot of people. I just remember thinking this is stupid. I'm never gonna have that. But now thinking about it, it's just to drill in the instinct. So when that ball's coming in a lot faster, you don't start doing crazy stuff. It's the same thing every time.
Totally the same as like I would. The tee is equivalent to like the EDDs, like the very easy. Like that's what you're saying. Like, do you throw it harder? Not really.
Not really. You don't
want to keep it super simple, super easy. So that kind of covers like what an infield work would look like, besides just taking normal ground balls.
Yeah.
And working throws to first, or throws in the middle, or whatever.
How often did you practice like? Obviously, slow rollers are going to be a little bit off balance throwing it. Like, how often do you practice that stuff? Every day?
Yeah, so sometimes in our EDDs, we'd either do the drop step drill or we would do off balance throws.
Okay.
So an off balance throw sequence would just look like usually you're always throwing off your right foot as an infielder. There's hardly ever a time where you're going to throw off your left foot only. So we would just be on our right foot. We'd turn our body to where like it would kind of emulate the slow roller kind of flip throw from shortstop or third base or second base even. Yeah. And then you're just trying to be accurate. You play 1 point to the chest and 3 points to the head, first to 7. Usually that's what we would do.
That's pretty good. I like that
little game.
Throw a game in there.
A little competitive. Like
negative points if you make an error.
Yeah, air mails and negative.
Yeah, I was going to say -6. All right, so skill-wise, so we're going to come back to training a little bit. You got the skill. What kind of training do you think is going to amplify said skills? Is there something that you specifically like? I like to obviously promote a lot of the major lifts, as well as like some Olympic lifting here and there. I think you wrote out kind of like a general day that you enjoy. We can go over that.
Yeah, so I've got it right here. I might have to look down at it to take a little peek at it to keep me on track. But for the most part, it's like I like to keep the training for like 2 hours is kind of like the sweet spot of time. Mm-hmm. Once I start passing over 2 hours, it's like start to lose my focus a little bit.
I was gonna say, and you're probably getting hungry.
Yeah, getting hungry for sure. So like the start of my days is come in here right around 3 o'clock. I'm an afternoon lifter. I work better in the afternoon. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I'll spend 20-ish minutes on a warm-up, like mobility, a lot of stuff to get my hips opened, getting my quads, glutes, hamstrings all firing, activating, because that's kind of the stuff that I noticed the most would keep the pain off my hip, is if I made sure that those muscles were activated,
like really warm and really
warmed up, primed, ready to go. Like I wouldn't really have any issues. Like today, I didn't get as good of a warm up in, and that's like I didn't spend enough time doing mobility because I came in freaking eating, and I didn't spend enough time doing my mobility, and so I noticed it a little bit. I was like, it was a little bit crunchy in the squats today, but so yeah, I'll do that. Do you want to?
Yeah, I had a point, but I forgot. Darn it. So I think that plays, the fact that you're talking about like really warm, spending a lot of time on that, I think that plays really well into my idea of like you should get like a small workout in, like going into your actual workout or even games. I think there's, I mean, I remember warming up during my career, and it was like, all right, you do some shuffles down the back, you do some runs, and then you just start throwing, right? And you hope that the throwing warms you up, and it's like, man, to think about how much damage your arm's taking as it's trying to warm up, you know what I mean? And then at what capacity are you able to throw at and how fast you actually warmed up? I think what I would have been better off doing is like 5 push-ups, 5 pull-ups, 5 squats for like 7 straight minutes, done some sprint work, and now my arms, my biceps, my triceps, my shoulders, everything's nice and warm now to the point where it's like actually ready to engage and can move weight or can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of guys take that for granted on the field. Obviously, you're talking about in the gym, but
yeah, I mean, like with that stuff, it's hardly ever stretching. 90% of the time, it's like it's either a movement to get a muscle activated,
yeah,
or it's a movement to increase the mobility, like range of motion.
Yeah.
It's never really a stretch.
Not a static stretch.
Yeah, hardly ever. I mean, sometimes, like very few times where I'm like, hey, I feel like I might need to stretch this one. But
this is feeling damaged.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I remember even you telling me my warm up to go to the field was 10 push-ups, 10 squats, and then some sprint work. Yeah. Not really a place to do pull-ups, but
yeah, well, and that's kind of the thing.
If I could have, you probably would have been like, go do some pull-ups.
Jump up there real quick. It's hard because I know a lot of guys are like, we're about to play a 9-inning game out in the sun, and the last thing you want to do is get really sweaty right out of the gate because you just feel kind of gross a lot of the game. You know what I mean? And as a catcher, it was inevitable. Like, why did I not just commit to it? But yeah, like a really serious, good muscle activation warm up before even throwing would, I think, be beneficial for every player.
Yeah. I mean, so then after I do my like that good warm up, we usually hit some like plyos, speed work. I think that should, I don't know like because I don't know what the scientific reasoning behind stuff is, right? But I think that stuff should come in the beginning because I'm not like sore from doing a compound lift or something.
Yeah, and I think that plays into what you as an athlete are kind of saying a lot of the time is like what we talk about in here. It's like you're not going to necessarily get sore from working out if you've been working out for a really long time. There's not a whole lot I can throw at you right now that is going to wreck you and make you not able to do anything the next day.
Yeah.
Right? But if someone were to come in here, they've only been working out for a month and they have kind of a tougher workout with the sprints and the squats and all that kind of stuff, and the next day they have a game, you might be hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
You got 5 years under your belt where I don't think you really stopped working out outside of the hip injury.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like those kids that came in the other day after the tough squat day, that kid couldn't walk. It felt so bad.
Yeah, he got baby deer legs. But yeah, so like I think I talk with a lot of parents about, we got tournament coming up, we got this coming up. I'm like, if they've been training for longer than 3 months with me, generally they'll be fine, no matter what I throw at them.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, if I haven't seen them in 3 weeks, like they're gonna come back and they're gonna be pretty sore.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into efficiency and plyo work and compound lift. Get those done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, after I do my sprint work, like sprint work or jumps or whatever the plyos are, I'm going to a compound lift. My first section of compound lifts that I enjoy the most are going to be squat bench with a deadlift or clean. I kind of like, I don't know. I deadlift like, how much do I deadlift? Like probably once every other week.
Yeah,
because my hamstrings get wrecked from deadlifts for whatever reason. Like I think it may have something to do with like the hips a little bit. Like just for whatever reason.
You're a very quad dominant athlete,
True.
and I think that there's just a lot of people that plays. I'm more of I'm a better puller than I am a squatter. So I have a tendency to be a little bit more hamstring oriented, so I won't get so sore in the hamstrings, but you give me like 5 sets of 6 on squats and my quads are going to be toasted.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so that's just what I prefer the squats over the deadlifts for sure, and then I like cleans. I've grown very fond of cleans.
I was gonna say,
for whatever reason, like the numbers started to go up, and I started to really enjoy it.
Hey, you got cleans for me? You got some cleans?
And then kind of like the second section of compound lifts that I don't enjoy as much as the first section, but I still do pretty frequently, are like gonna be like actually I don't think I've clean and jerk.
We've gone away
We've
from
done
the
them
jerk.
separately.
Yeah,
but
we
never
haven't
like
done
together.
the clean into the jerk.
But I put clean and jerk on there. Snatch. We snatch every now and again, and then overhead press and pull-ups. I guess pull-ups not really a compound lift, but I kind of put it in there as like a compound movement, maybe.
Yeah,
just because I feel like you get a lot.
There's a lot of benefit, and I also have a tendency to team up pull-ups and deadlifts.
Yeah.
Because those lats will help with the deadlift in regards to like bracing and making sure that the back is nice and stable and not dynamic. And I think obviously between those two working together, you'll have a nice strong back.
Yeah. And then after that, it's mostly like split squat lunge variations, row variations, bench variations, RDL variations. I mean, we kind of mix it up pretty frequently. Like it'll be, your hamstring marches, which is essentially like a kickstand RDL or like a single leg RDL kind of thing.
Kickstand RDL.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good name.
That's what I remember it as. But and then after that, there's like we do all the different lunge variations, just like Bulgarians or just split squats
split squats.
Forward lunges or front foot elevated lunges.
Those are
or we did front foot elevated bar overhead lunges. That was crazy.
That sucked, and that was given to me by Casey Blackheader, and he had me do this one time. I thought I was a good athlete. Nope, not with that.
That was hard.
Movement. That was so hard.
That was hard. I think it was like 5 sets of 8 per side, I think, or something like that. That was hard. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in here, I think.
How much weight did you put on that bar?
I want to say just like 50 kilos probably.
Well, that's why. That's heavy. That's heavy.
Like 40 or 50 kilos probably. Like either green or yellow.
I think at my most in shape, I think I did 40 kilos.
Maybe I did 40 kilos then. 50 might be stretching it.
No, if you did 50 kilos, it's doable. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to hurt a lot.
I'm good. I'm a good lunger. But anyways, yeah. And then after that, it's just like supplement stuff. Like I enjoy doing some bodybuilding. I mean, you see me in here doing some bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll come on my own just to do a little extra bodybuilding.
Tank top, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
just there's time to really hone in on like being like all about performance, and then there's a little like extra time in there for a little fun,
Well, and I think
bodybuilding fun.
I think there's we talked about quantifiable stuff, and I think we'll approach that. But that's also the we want to look good too is quantifiable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you look in the mirror like, dang, good looking man.
Yeah. You can see. I mean, you can see.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll come home and my parents will be like, I can tell that you've, I can tell you put on a couple pounds. Like I can tell you look like a little bit bigger. I'm like, thank you.
That feels really good.
that really boosted my ego. I appreciate that, Mom. But yeah, so that's a point that I think is super important that at times I've gotten away from, and I think it's harmed me, is doing things that you like can quantify the progress and quantify the results on, right? So like it's easy for me to understand that I am getting stronger through squats, through bench, through deadlift, because I can see the number go up, and that's not all that's important, right? And I'm a baseball player, so baseball comes first.
Yep.
But I can tell that I'm getting stronger when the number goes up, and that's just like it's very simple, it's very like basic, but it's an easy way to see, right? Because everyone can see it.
Yeah, and that's why I think lifting weights is such a beneficial thing from all ages. Obviously, you're an older man than someone who's like a prepubescent, like 12-year-old, right?
Yep.
Like, is he gonna be focused on the numbers as much as like he probably wants to be? I'm gonna hold him back and just make sure that the technique is right for now until his body starts doing this and that, and shows that he can start loading the bar a little bit more each week. But for you, it's like you want those numbers to keep your motivation up and to chase something like we talked about earlier. You want to chase some guys that lift heavier weights.
Yeah.
And if that keeps you in the gym, that's definitely a positive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, imagine if you were doing 5 sets of 10 lunges at the same weight for 2 years.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very fun.
That wouldn't be very fun.
No.
Can you lunge the hundreds? Yeah, because I did it. I spent 2 years increasing my weight to the hundreds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's progress. That's work.
Well, and it's about a little bit of it probably a lot of it is being competitive.
Oh yeah. Well,
you know, just competitive by nature, and so I want to be better than people. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds really bad, but it's kind of the truth, right? Like, you just want to be better. I want to be better, you know?
What did you ask me earlier about Kyle Bello?
Oh yeah, I asked if I squat more than Kyle Bello, and I think the answer is yes. I'm not totally sure, but once 173 kilos was the PR, so maybe
Kyle,
we'll have to tag Kyle and
I was gonna
see
say,
what
tag
he has to
Kyle,
say.
get him in here. He's gonna squat tomorrow, ready to rock.
Oh man, that's funny.
But yeah, so there's always a competitiveness. I remember when I was doing a lot of CrossFit. There's a local guy. I had no problem with him, but he was a good local guy in the CrossFit community, and sometimes he would post workouts, and I would immediately go see that workout. I don't know what his time was, but try to throttle down on that, and just see if I, in my head, felt like I could have beaten him, just based off of how he was moving on his video. You know what I mean? And
like kind of comparing like the speed.
Yeah, like watching him, like, okay,
that's kind of in depth.
I know.
Yeah.
So he went like, I think at one point he went like 50 wall balls, and they had to be unbroken or something like that. And I was like, okay, I got 50 wall balls unbroken. Let me make sure to do that. But it was like some larger number that we had to get to, so it was like 50 whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know, try to go unbroken. It wrecked me. It hurt really bad, but I was able to do unbroken, and then the rest of the workout sucked because of it. But I mean, that threshold in that movement got better, right?
Yeah.
So that's quantifiable. But yeah, the competitiveness, find it somewhere. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you were working out kind of by yourself as I was getting set up, and you're probably thinking in your head, it was like, this is heavier than last week.
Yeah.
You can be competitive with yourself too, but I think external competitiveness against somebody else is a huge motivator.
Yeah, I mean, and I think people always want to say, like, you know, be competitive with yourself and be the best, best of yourself. And we've talked about this before.
It's like, it's a cute, good, positive feeling for most people.
Yeah.
But you want to be an elite athlete.
Yeah, like, you gotta outperform people,
and you
know what I mean. Like, what? There's nothing else you can say except you gotta be better than people.
You gotta be a little spiteful too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, I think from what I've been saying, I think I'm a little spiteful. You know.
Oh yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's just I think it's by nature. Like, you just want to. It's competitive. You know. That's just what it is.
And I think a lot of people think competitiveness to that degree is toxic, but I'm like, there's plenty of stories of I mean, Muhammad Ali was competitive, and he would just, you know what I mean? Mike Tyson, like...
Well, have you heard about this, the Kobe Bryant story of how, I forget what player, but I'm pretty sure it was another Hall of Famer, that he was, they were playing against each other, like, and the other guy was in the gym, came in at like pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
But since Kobe knew he was going to be there, Kobe came in earlier. And then Kobe practiced until the guy left, and then practiced for another 30 minutes or whatever, and then left. And all because Kobe wanted to say, I worked harder than you, and I worked longer than you.
No matter what you do.
I
remember that story.
Yeah, so no matter what you do, I'm going to work harder.
And it wasn't even, I'm going to be better. It's, I'm going to outwork you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, giving me the tingles. The outworking, like, the outcome is probably going to coincide a little bit with the work. But if you are focused on the work and the things you need to do to outwork that one and that one and that one, eventually you're outworking everybody, and then at some point that's just going to make you better than everybody. Right?
Yeah. So that's an interesting point. Like, for me at least, like, I can work really hard in here and see the results, and that's kind of part of the reason why I like going to the gym and again doing things that we can quantify the progress and the result. But in baseball, it's a lot harder to quantify the result, right? Like, you can put your best swing on 10 balls and all 10 of them could get caught. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's harder to quantify the results in baseball, especially as you go up a level and go up another level.
Because those results might come down.
Right, they might come down, but you might be getting better.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. And that's where it's like, it's just about outworking rather than the being better.
Being better, yeah.
So it's about more about outworking in that sense.
That's a pretty good point. I didn't think of it like that, but it is really hard to say. I mean, what's the best batting average of all time? Was that Pete Rose?
No, I think he has the most hits. I don't know if
Most
he
hits.
has. I don't know if he has the highest average in a season.
I don't know who
My
that
guess
is.
would probably be it's Barry Bonds, but I don't know for sure.
Could be it. So highest average, and you have that, say, 5th year in the pros, and then you never hit that again. Does that mean you're getting worse? You know what I mean?
Or could you have just been facing better pitching?
Better
You know what I
pitching,
mean? Like, who
or
knows?
you were hitting at the Rocky Stadium, or you know what I mean, where the ball flies a little bit further.
You played your 5th year where you hit the best.
Yeah.
In Colorado, and then you moved to play in Kansas City, where the ball or Detroit, where the ball is definitely not jumping out the yard. And,
dies.
You know, even Oracle, ball's not jumping out the yard, and so
Yeah, that's true.
So 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 that's where it's just about working harder than people rather than the result.
Rather than the result, and
Yeah.
obviously, like result can't be completely out of the head. Like if you don't hit your body weight, average wise, like probably not great. You need to focus on something. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a good point too. Is like we live in a results oriented world.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Results matter. So you can't disregard the result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The result, and you can work hard all you want. Like we talk about this too sometimes. Like for some guys, like they're going to work as hard as they can, and it just won't work.
And it just
know what
won't
I mean?
work.
And it's no fault to them. You know what I mean?
And
So-
some guys don't work as hard as others, and they're really
Yeah,
good.
that's a really good point.
You know what I mean?
There's two sides of the spectrum there too, and there's all this in the middle.
Yeah, and I think obviously a lot of people are like, hey, this guy that throws 97 did this program, but did you also see him when he was 13 and he was 6'3" and he had good arm speed at a 13-year-old, where there's not a lot of work that he could have done that made him that way. Yeah. He was just literally born to be that.
Yeah.
But then you also see a guy that has spent 15 years in the league grinding it out with a poo arm and a generally okay swing, and he just Hall of Fame, right? Because he just kept grinding it out and outworking people. There's outliers in everything, and I think you need to find where you are. If you are 6'7" and you're jumping out of the gym, like a little bit of a genetic gift.
Yeah.
If you're 5'9", generally fast, can swing it pretty good, like you might have to rely on some of the work.
Right.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
No.
And it's
you're kind of talking about me a little bit.
I'm calling about me too, man. Average height, standing next to 6'4" Ryan Allen. Cool guys, sweet. But yeah, and so I think what's going to separate you from the middle of the pack. Like this is generally where you're going to see almost all of the people that you'll probably play around.
Yes,
you know what
totally.
I mean? They'll be in the middle of the pack. What's going to separate you differently from them? And I think that's where, for me, the way I'm coaching this weightlifting stuff is there's not a lot of places that do this weightlifting style stuff. And I want to give an option to an athlete that is different than what all the other athletes are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if none of the athletes in this group are doing overhead squats, but you felt great results from overhead squats and your arm feels stronger all of a sudden, it's like maybe you should keep doing that, right?
Yep.
Don't fall into what these guys think is the best program possible because this guy did it. It's like, no, it's what works for you.
Well,
I know
it's totally
guys,
about finding what's best for you.
and
Totally
I know
about
guys that didn't like my style of training, and they went somewhere else and they loved it and they succeeded. That's great because it worked for them,
Yeah.
right? And it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't have all the options, if you don't have my program, this program, another program to try them out, then you don't know if this one works better than this one. So try them all out.
I mean, I think for me, like a lot of the stuff that we do in here works best for me because the way I kind of function as an athlete is like a little bit more brute.
Yeah.
A little bit less like fluid. Like I see a lot of the shortstops now that are like 6'4" and they're long and lanky and they're moving like real smooth, smooth movers. The hands are smooth, the arm is smooth, everything's smooth. I'm not really that way. I was talking to my dad about this. He's like, don't try and be that way if you're not that way. You know what I mean? Be a brute athlete that like just gets there, kind of gritty-esque. Like
got
just,
a little chip on your shoulder, a little
allow that to be the guy you are, because there's nothing wrong with being that guy.
No,
you know what I mean? You have no reason to try and be that long, lanky 6'4" guy because you're not that guy. So
And I think
So I think that's why that kind of plays for me a little more, like the stuff we do in here. It's just because I kind of move a little more, you know,
a little bit more rigid, a little bit more
swing a little more rigidly. Like it's just kind of the way I am. I don't know.
Well, I feel like that's the way I am too. Like, big intensity when I need it, and generally not a finesse guy. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm gonna do the work, and I'm probably gonna do it the hard way. But at the end of the day, it worked for me. Well, that even goes to talk about or to go into like personality too, right? Like you ever see guys try to change themselves personality wise to like fit into a certain group? Mm-hmm. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
I knew a guy that I wanted him to change so bad. I played with him, and he just the biggest shit talker I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
I wanted him to change. He annoyed most of us, but dang, that guy balled. He would literally
just was doing him.
Yep, he would literally drag bunt, lead off the game, first base, steal second, and then he'd get a great jump off of a ball in dirt, and he'd get to third, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is basically what he did every game at some point. Whether it was in the third, in the fifth.
A lot of value in that.
Tons of value.
By himself. I mean,
unstoppable at third, and he hit for power whenever he needed to, but like he wasn't necessarily well liked, but he knew that, and he didn't care.
Well, I bet you Michael Jordan wasn't very well liked.
That's true.
I bet you Kobe Bryant wasn't very well liked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're a little bit, they're probably a little bit that way, like a little bit like, let me get in your face, like I'm gonna talk to you, like I'm gonna let you know like what's going down, and I think that's kind of just them, and it worked for them, and I mean clearly it's worked for them right there.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone really pressed them to change what they were doing.
Nope.
They just, this is who I am. I embrace this, and if you don't like me, you can go not win a championship.
Go do whatever you want to do, but I'm gonna be winning. That's kind of probably the way they thought about it.
Oh yeah. Or they just didn't think about it. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
Or they
we're trying to analyze what they're thinking, but they're just like, I just wanted him to set that screen harder. Like, I can throw an elbow.
That's funny.
All right. Think that's it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think we're just past an hour and some.
Man, we talked.
I know, that was good.
That was great.
We always have these little sessions at the end of your workouts, and it's about time we got it on video.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, man. Thanks for coming.
Great episode.